Y'all, happy Friday. You made it. We are back. It is Friday, and we're getting to the end of March, y'all. Like, I'm blinking. This year is flying by. I have a really fun guest for us all today. I hope you are here. I hope you are ready. If you are joining us, start commenting down below. Who's here? Who's joining us? Where are you from? Get ready. I'm about to bring on, I got my friend Patryk here. Patryk is going to do his own intro, but if you are in sales enablement, this is the show you need to see. All right, y'all, let's bring on Patryk. What's up, dude? How are you?
Hello. Good afternoon. How are you doing, Lauren?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for coming on. Everybody, if you aren't following Patryk, let's go. Let's drop this down at the bottom. Go follow Patryk right now on LinkedIn. Thank you for coming on the show. Give us like 30 seconds, a minute intro. Who are you? What are you doing? Why would Lauren, why would I have you on the show today? Like, how did we come to know each other? Let's talk about that.
Yes, that is all fun stuff to cover. Hello, everyone. My name is Patryk Odedina. I am the Sales Enablement Manager for benefits at JustWorks. We're a payroll and benefits company. I've been here for only a short time, almost 2 months, but I've been working in sales enablement for about 3.5 years. Prior to being in sales enablement, I was a seller for about 7 years. So that's my full on decade of a career so far. Really love sales altogether. I made my transition over into sales enablement when I thought I wanted to move my career into the next phase. So that's how that happened. Some other places that I worked at include better.com or Better Mortgage, indeed.com, as well as ShareBite, among some other places. I am familiar with Lauren. This is the first time we're actually having like a one-on-one conversation, but I'm familiar with Lauren from LinkedIn, following each other's content. But then also I was part of her accountability group, which was a 30-day challenge essentially to post every single day. I believe this was in December of 2022, so just like 3-4 months ago, and that was very helpful for me. So now, I'm very happy to actually join the show and be able to go do a little back and forth about what Lauren does as well.
Awesome. Shout out to anybody who has ever been in the accountability group. Y'all are the real deal. If you have any questions about that, you can always get in my DMs. Happy to chat about getting accountable on LinkedIn. Getting accountable is one of our topics for today. To me, getting accountable and like accountability is a word of 2023. What do you think?
It's definitely a word in my household as well that I use a lot with my wife. We use it for each other when just talking about things that we want to do. We have a lot of goals. We have a lot of things that we say, and definitely gets repeated a ton. I think for us, it's just following through on the things that we say we are going to do. So thinking back to your, accountability group that we had for 30 days, it was like in the beginning, I think we signed almost like not a contract, but really signed like an agreement that we are going to post for these 30 days. We're going to share our metrics. We're going to share how it's going, give feedback and things like that. And when you say it out loud, like, I'm going to do this, you then later will have to bite your words if you back away from it. So like you want to hold yourself accountable to that. Like it is your responsibility in order to get that done. And when excuses come in, if I didn't do it because I was busy or I got caught up in something else, it's more of like, well, you said you were going to do it, right? This is like, it sounds very much like my wife and I talking about each other. Like, you said you were going to make dinner tonight, right? That's what you said. I didn't ask you. I didn't tell you to make dinner tonight. You said you were going to do it, and dinner like didn't get made. So that's like, whoops, sorry, I dropped my phone. It's like that's I was kind of looking forward to it. Now we're both hungry, and if you didn't say you were going to make dinner, I wouldn't have held you accountable for it. But love the
Well,
word, love living it.
don't say we're going to get ice cream if we're not going to get ice cream, right?
Exactly. Just don't say it. Just don't say it.
Um, no, I mean, I think getting accountable is really big. I talk to a lot of people. I do a lot of job search strategy coaching because to me, when I talk to job searchers, job seekers, they don't know what to do. They're like, Lauren, I just need anything. And once you're at that point, you have to really focus down again, because you've gone from being intent and okay, I know what I'm doing, to I just need a job. I just got right. Like, I feel kind of crazy being like that, but that's really how we get. Like, I get it. We got to keep the lights on. We got to keep the mortgage going, all of those things. But you have to focus and you have to get accountable. And one of the things I talk to people about is like, okay, let's target companies. Let's target certain roles. Let's target how are we going to do this. And I'll give people like little homework assignments. Y'all, I'm sorry, you have to do the work. I can't do the work for you. A coach isn't someone who can do the work for you and you end up a better person. A coach is someone who helps you get there, but you have to be accountable to do the work. And the number one thing I find is that people aren't accountable to themselves. We're okay to be accountable to a boss. We get a paycheck. We're okay to be accountable to our friend. They provide us something that makes us feel good. We want to have that interaction, that exchange, but we let ourselves down more than anybody else. Like, you got to be accountable to you first. Are you accountable to you? And like, can you look in the mirror and say, yes, I'm really accountable to myself? I know, Patrick, like, lean over, look at all that stuff behind you. Like, look, you might be a little accountable to yourself, right?
Well, yes. However, I will say, because I think maybe in my earlier years, I've realized that I feel a lot stronger about being accountable to other people. Basically, meaning if I tell someone else, then I have to do it. Whereas if I don't tell anyone, it might just not get done. So I have a handful of running medals back there. I've been running for only about 3 years. But the first time I told, it was a group of like 20 people, I was given some presentation just about myself. And I said, I'm going to run New York City Marathon this year. And I remember leaving that meeting and everyone's like, oh, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. Are you a runner? I'm like, I just started running. But I remember leaving the meeting like, I can't not run it now because everyone's going to ask me like how's training going and stuff like that. So when there's things that I want to do, I sometimes will tell other people like, yeah, I want to get a house this year or I want to get a house next year, because I know people are going to ask like, so how's it going? Are you like house hunting and stuff like that? Whereas if I don't put it out there, so a little bit of a cheat code, I would say, if you find yourself maybe not holding yourself accountable enough, is putting it out there into the world, because then it gets a little bit of pressure to not, not follow through on the things that you've actually put out there already.
100%, 100%. And to me, it's also easy to be accountable to other people because there is more of an exchange in the, I don't know, the emotion and that dopamine hit of like, I did something for someone else. That feels good. They feel good about me, right? Like, when you're doing it for yourself, it's like, well, that's just something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Nobody's cheering for you. Nobody's proud of you. Nobody's patting you on the back. Like, and I talked to someone recently who told me, like, give yourself little wins. It's something so silly as putting something you really want in your Amazon cart and not purchasing it until you hit that little thing for yourself. And then when you do that little thing and you get there, like, allow yourself that little treat. And it's so simple, but shout out Leslie. Thank you for that. I'm using that and it's working. But there's little things and you can be accountable to yourself, y'all. But being accountable to yourself really will help you be accountable to all the other people in your life as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
With all that.
Right. Well, I didn't really mean to start with getting accountable, but we kind of just did. So, all right, we're gonna jump into a different topic. We're gonna move into advertising yourself. Why use LinkedIn? The power of LinkedIn. We all use LinkedIn for a different reason. That's one of the questions. I know Patrick told you, he's like, yeah, I kind of signed a contract with Lauren when I got in the accountability group. It's not really a contract, but one of the other questions I ask is, why are you in this group? Why are you on LinkedIn? I want to see if people can define it. Do you just want a large following of people? Like, that's okay. I'll help you too. What is your reason for being on LinkedIn so that I can really help you in the right way? So let's talk about it. What is your reason? Why use LinkedIn? And then we'll dive into persevering through adversity and like how you use LinkedIn for your job search a little bit.
For sure. So I love LinkedIn. I have been on LinkedIn for probably close to 9 or 10 years. However, I did not start posting until only a year and a half ago. But I did use it a bit for prospecting when I was a salesperson, selling tech and selling different things. I worked at Indeed, and I would speak to different people who were like HR managers or people ops managers and things of that sort to try to get in contact with people at different companies. So I happened to connect with a lot of people back then just from trying to sell. So I probably developed maybe 1,000-ish or so connections. And then about a year and a half ago, I started posting frequently, and that number grew from 1,000 to a little over 5,000 now. And that number really doesn't matter to me at all. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not a goal. I don't have a goal of getting to 10,000 by X date or getting to 6,000 by X date. But really, I wanted to almost saturate my world, my little niche of what I do, which is sales enablement within technology and SaaS based companies. So when I see anyone who is within sales enablement, sales training, learning development, I pretty much will shoot them a connection request, a little note. I will comment on their content, and I read on LinkedIn way more than I post on LinkedIn. That's just because I want to stay abreast of like what's going on. You know, I have a limited number of people at the company I currently work at who do sales enablement, but out there's thousands of people, and I want to learn some of their best practices and the tools that they're using, and maybe what's working or not working. So I really want to stay in the mix. Essentially, is what it is, and not feel left behind.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And not feeling left behind. I think you can use LinkedIn for so many things. And one of the things is not just to advertise yourself, right? But to really stay abreast of what's going on in your market currently. You can really know what's happening, what's trending, what you should be talking about, what other people are going to be talking about. We talk a lot about social selling, how to network into things. If you know what's going on in your industry and you can speak about it, like Patryk said, he reads a lot on LinkedIn. You can learn a lot on LinkedIn, y'all. You don't just have to post, you don't just have to look for followers. Like Patryk said, it wasn't about followers for him at all. It doesn't have to be about that. There's so many different ways you can utilize LinkedIn. Shout out Morgan Ingram. He just dropped the LinkedIn learning course. When I was on LinkedIn, I was doing a lot of LinkedIn learning courses when I first got on, and really, really trying to soak up knowledge about new industries so that I understood the terminology and the things people were saying. That when I first got in SaaS, I was like, "You have a what? Who does
Right.
what?" Right? Like, I was like, hold on, that title means I do what? Like, I didn't understand in the beginning. And now I talk to people in under other industries and I'm like, oh, well, that's what an account executive does in SaaS, or oh, that's what this person does. And I'm like, and it's like, they would never think of those titles. They would never understand those things. But you have to go learn those things. You have to look in other industries. When I started doing like finance and audit recruiting, like LinkedIn saved my life. I messaged people. I was like, hey, you do this. Can you teach me about the third line of defense? What is that? And someone on LinkedIn taught me that, right? Like there's a lot of reasons to use LinkedIn, but when we talk about advertising yourself and really how to use LinkedIn and advertising yourself, there's a lot of people who talk about building a brand. And I wouldn't necessarily say build a brand, but I would say get yourself out there so that people know who you are. Would you say in that sense that that's what you're trying to do, Patryk?
Yes. I would say not so much like the same thing you said, not so much building a brand because I'm not exactly selling a product or thing. I am advertising myself, and I'm not looking for a job right now in my role, and I'm very, very happy with where I'm at. However, even if I'm just kind of throwing it, this is the value that I bring. Maybe in a year or 3 years or 5 years, when next I'm looking for something, someone can think of me. And that's how I got a couple of my most recent roles, was people seeing the things that I posted, reaching out to me saying, hey, do you want to talk about an opening that we have? And that ended up in me getting a couple of those positions. So when building the brand and kind of using that terminology, I try to be consistent in the not just the frequency that I post, but in the types of things that I post. So I really steer away from things that I don't know about. I know about sales very much. I know about dogs, so I post about dogs a bit. And then I also share some personal things as well, because again, I'm really trying to talk to people out there who maybe I'll have some connection with, or this is someone that I may be recruiting to come and work for me at my company, someone who I'm trying to sell something to, or introduce one of my colleagues to them so that I can help, and assist the sale. And then sometimes I'm also looking for products as well. I've purchased a handful of tools, one of them being at my current role, but at a previous company I was at. And it was really from following a lot of the content creators that they had there, and then bumping at a networking event, like a IRL in real life networking event. And that's what led to the sale happening. We developed a real relationship, and, definitely a big revenue deal. So there is a lot, but in terms of like building your brand, that's the one thing that you have control over, right? This is your profile. The same way if you use Instagram or use Twitter, you control what it is that you want to be put out there and what you can share about yourself. So for me, I want to take control and craft a bit of a theme, a bit of a brand, if you may, about myself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, realistically, y'all, all of social media is curated. We're not going to lie to you. All of it is curated. We think very hard about what we're going to post, what we're going to say, edit it, how is it going to come off. But you have to understand that when someone's putting information on LinkedIn and they're putting themselves out there, where they're being vulnerable with you, they're doing it for a reason, right? But the vulnerability is what helps us connect in a very digital world. We're not necessarily meeting someone like we would be 10, 15, 20 years ago. And the social aspect of what we've had in the last 20 years has really gone digital. So we have to interact like this. We have to get to know people like this. You have to be willing to embrace it. You have to be willing to put yourself out there a little bit so that people can get to know you. And if you're not willing to put yourself out there, no one's going to get to know you. You're just going to be some statue on LinkedIn, like, oh, hi, that person might every now and then talk about sales enablement and share their company post. Right? Like that's what most people do. They just share their company posts when they're first getting on LinkedIn. And if that's what you're doing to start, fine, but go live in the comments, go interact somewhere else, go engage, go DM people, go message people, try to meet new people. You can meet people doing the exact same thing you're doing. Sometimes Lauren, or people are like, Lauren, why do you recommend that we interact with people doing what we're doing? It's like, well, wouldn't you want to learn from them? What if they have this one little tip or trick that would save you 20 or 30 minutes of your time every day? And what if you could meet 4 or 5 people who could teach you those kinds of tricks and you could get 2 or 3 hours back in your day? Like there's always someone out there to learn from. Go learn from them. Use LinkedIn, advertise yourself. People reach out to me. They want to learn from me as a recruiter. I'm like, yes, what can I learn from you? And I'm always trying to learn. It's got to be, it needs to be both ways, right? What was the last thing you learned on LinkedIn?
The last thing I learned was definitely about Silicon Valley Bank, because
Ooh.
I I did not even know what Silicon Valley Bank was prior to the meltdown or shutdown that they had a week or two ago. And I read a lot, not just articles that were posted like in news publications, but also from people who were investors and knew the lingo of like why and turn to Silicon Valley Bank in the first place, because a lot of companies, and I won't dive too much into it because it's just based off of a handful of things that I read, but Silicon Valley Bank apparently was like the one place that a lot of startups or like even crypto companies could turn to get lending, because traditional lenders would not give money to them. However, there were a lot of strings that came with it, meaning these companies had to deposit all of their funds and use all of like actually transfer all of their credit cards over to Silicon Valley Bank, which was pretty high risk, and they only learned that after.
Yeah.
I say all that to say I learned about that on LinkedIn because I was also reading someone who was like an investor, board member, soft tech finance kind of person. So definitely enjoyed the read.
Yeah, there's really good stuff out there, y'all. And I would tell you, go look at some other industries every now and then. Look at what they're posting, what they're saying, what they're doing. Very randomly, when Southwest had the giant meltdown, I got super involved in reading all about Southwest all over LinkedIn. And now some of that stuff randomly pops into my feed, and it's just super intriguing. I'm seeing stuff that I would never see before. And it's something because I learned something on LinkedIn, right? All right.
Yep.
So next topic. So we stay on time. Did you see somebody said in the comments, shout out Aloha Fridays? Did you see this?
I did see that. Yes, that is my wife, only wife. So she's
Literally,
watching out.
literally. This was on purpose, y'all. Literally, it's a thing, Aloha Friday in the house. So if you got a
That's
Hawaiian shirt, drop in the comments what color is your Hawaiian shirt and who wore it better, Lauren or Patrick. They're very different vibes. I'll be honest with you. I'm out of town and I forgot to bring my Hawaiian shirt. So I had to buy this one today, but I had a golf shirt. So if you've been following me or know anything about me, y'all know I've been golfing. I got in 2 rounds this week. So I'll save this for the golf course. But yeah, so you don't golf, right? That's something we talked about. No golfing over there.
That's correct. I would love to at some point, and I used to work on a golf course, very, very random, but I've never played an actual game of golf. I've done mini golf, I've done top golf, but I've never played golf like at 18 holes or even a 9 holes kind of thing. I'd love to.
I love that. So I actually had an opportunity to go play 18 holes this afternoon, and I was going to have to cancel Friday Live with Lauren. And I did not because I like Friday Live. But also, y'all, golf is hot and I'm kind of sunburnt, if we're being really honest. This Florida heat this week, y'all. Whew, Florida heat. I'm dying. This is gonna move us into this next topic of mental toughness. I was literally like, where is the shade? Can we get a breeze? Oh my goodness, but get through it. Also got a blister really bad on hole 17. And hole 18 is the only hole with water I had to hit over the whole time. So I was like, can't think about the blister right now. Anyway, we're going to talk more about mental toughness. I know we talked a little bit about your running, but I want to talk about mental toughness, how we can do anything for 30 seconds, y'all. Like you literally can do anything. And I want to talk about how you use mental toughness, how you think about mental toughness, how you coach your teams to have mental toughness, right? Like, let's talk about all of it and dive in.
Um, for me, mental toughness is like a strong skill, essentially, I'd say you need to have, especially if you want to be successful and do big things. Because whenever you want to do big things, they are going to be hard. There's like trying to do something that either hasn't been done before or trying to do it at a level that hasn't been done before. So talk about like mental toughness and stress, like when you're going through stress a lot of times, be judging yourself. And there are some people who don't challenge themselves. They take kind of the easy route. And that's not a knock because you don't have to always be struggling, always be stressing yourself. But when you are, it's usually because you're trying to challenge yourself. So for me, mental toughness is acknowledging that in my mind that I am going through something right now by choice. I want to do something difficult. I want to accomplish something that is very big. And there's usually going to be some end to it. It's not a forever lasting state. Like you're not going to through that stress or that strain forever. It's until you reach that goal and then it's done. So um, that's it for me.
Yeah, the hard things become easy things over time if we're willing to put in the work. But a lot of people give up 1, 2 months in, 1, 2 sessions in, whatever the thing is that you're pushing to do. And having that mental toughness, you can think of it in a lot of aspects of your life, not just your personal life. Think about it in your professional life, right? When was the last time that, and we've all been in this situation where you had a horrible boss and you had to be mentally tough to get through a really hard scenario or a really hard work day or a really hard situation. Think about those times too. Mental toughness is something that you choose to have as well, right? Like we choose how we want to feel. And when we're going through something, we have to choose that we want to get over it, that we mentally want to move on from it. And if we can't choose that we want to move on from it and we can't actually make that decision in our own head, we really won't. But we are making that decision. You agree?
I agree. Yes, you are choosing to get over it and you're choosing to even be in that position in the first place because you can always take yourself out, right? If you have a bad boss, you know that situation, am I going to stay or am I going to leave? Like you always have that choice. And I'm not trying to say it's an easy choice to just leave your job and stuff like that. I'm aware of that. But there's no choice. Speaking to it, there's usually some reason to it, right? It's because it's worth it. The tough thing that you have to do, it's worth whatever is on the other side of it. And just going back like 30 seconds, something that you said, not to challenge it at all, but just a different way of thinking. Like you said, doing the hard things so that they become easy. I go on my runs and sometimes that says like, oh, run faster for the next 30 seconds and then slow down for the next 5 minutes and stuff to that effect. They give you some motivation at times as well. And when you get to the run, there's one of them that I love that says, things don't get easier. You just get better at doing them. So like running 10 miles is never like a breeze. It really isn't. But if I'm in better shape, I'm better prepared. It feels easier, but it's still 10 miles. It's not like I'm
Yeah, 100%. No, you're right. It's a feeling. Are you there? You're frozen.
oh no, I'm here.
You're there. Okay, we got you.
Okay. Sorry.
You're good. We got you. We got you back.
Great.
Okay. All right. So we talked about mental toughness. We talked about advertising yourself. We talked a little tiny bit about Aloha Friday, the Hawaiian shirts we're wearing. I know that we need to talk about persevering through adversity. So a lot of I'm assuming a lot of my network doesn't necessarily follow you or your journey or your story, but y'all, if you are following Patryk, if you don't follow Patryk, Patryk was in an unfortunate situation multiple times where he got laid off and then had to find a new role and was successful in doing that in what, under 30 days each time. Didn't just find a new role, bounce back, something better. Really, if you're talking about persevering through adversity, that is something that I think Patryk can speak about. And I know we have a lot of job seekers out there. I talked to one the other day who was in their 7th month of looking for something. Okay. 7 months is too long. If you are at that point, please, I know I offered it last week, but if you didn't see the post, DM me. I have a calendar link for job seekers. I'm happy to help you, even with if it's just like a free strategy call. But please message me. Nobody should be at 7 months of job searching. Like, let's talk, let's chat. I want to help you. But let's talk about how you persevered, what that looked like for you, and how you were able to really get through it so quickly.
Sure. Like you said, unfortunate series of events. And I really just didn't see another option but to persevere. That's the best way to put it. I had no choice. Like I need to pay my bills. I need to do things. Like I couldn't just sit and not try. So really what I could control is my effort. So I always made it a goal for a number of jobs for me to apply on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, a number of people to connect with. And these were very like binary things, whether I completed them or I did not, because that's what I can control. I had a ton of interviews that were unsuccessful, and I ended up getting rejected for jobs at different portions of the process. Some of them just at the application phase, some of them after one, two, or maybe even three or more interviews. And for me, I knew that that was part of the process. Like I knew I was going to get rejected for jobs that I really loved. I was going to get rejected for jobs that I interviewed well for, and get rejected for jobs I was qualified for. So I just put that in my mind. And even sometimes I think I was a little too negative, because there were times where I was super confident, like I thought I aced the interview. I answered all the questions, I prepared, I knew that I had the background. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I know that there are other really candidates out there within sales enablement. So it doesn't mean if I don't get the job because I'm not good enough. Sometimes it just doesn't align that well. So for me, I'm like preparing myself for the rejection, but trying to also be positive so that I'm not just in a, you know, bad state of mind going into it. So that little bit of balance, getting rejections, they didn't what word didn't discourage me at all. They really were just in my mind part of the game. Had to get through a bunch of no's in order to get to a yes. I Lauren, I can't hear you. I don't know if it's just me.
Can you guys hear me now?
Now I can. Yes.
Okay. No, one of the other things that I think about really getting through things is you have to, like we were talking about, choose to push and choose to have that mental toughness, right? Like you have to set yourself up to know what's going to happen a little bit in advance. Like you were saying, I knew I was going to get some no's. I knew I was going to have jobs I really, really wanted or that I felt like I did really well. I prepared myself for that feeling. The other thing I think I see a lot from job seekers is that they think they're blindsided. Like, oh, well, no, it was great and it was perfect. And why would they have hired someone else? And you can't win them all. You won't win them all. You will win one, maybe two or three eventually, but you cannot expect that you will win them all. I joke with some people, but I'm like, if you'll start treating each interview like it's just a practice round for that job you really want, you'll be more relaxed and you'll probably get more job offers because you're treating it like it's something that's not so important. It's like, and maybe you have a running analogy, but when we play golf, if I really want to hit the ball really well and it really needs to go right there and I'm really trying and I gotta hit it, so I'm never gonna hit it well. I'm too tense. My body wants it too bad. But if I'm like, you know what, just swing easy, just get it close, you can chip it up easy, like take it easy, relax, loosen up, no big deal. Like then my body's gonna say, okay, Lauren, this feels good. We can do this. But you can't put your body in a state of stress and fear, and you're putting your body through it too, and your emotional state. So think about that, y'all, because it does take a toll. I talk to a lot of job seekers. They're like, Lauren, I've been sick, I don't feel well, I'm so stressed. Stress will put a toll on your body, y'all. And that's one of the parts of persevering through and understanding that you have to understand what's coming and how you're going to navigate it ahead of time. Write out a game plan, write out a map, write down what you're going to apply for and how many you think you might actually get, and be realistic and go through the first round and then adjust your numbers, right? Like really think about where you're at in your job search and what would help you. Oh no, Mark, his reminder didn't work. I'm glad you're here now. We've talked about most of the topics, unfortunately, but what's up, Mark? Mark is local to me in South Florida. Happy to have you on. Thank you, Jody. Jody says I'm super helpful. I appreciate that. But yeah, I think that persevering through adversity is just a good topic and a good thing for job seekers to think about right now. Um, I I know that you have been a job seeker, but not in the sense of like 6, 7, 8 month stints recently, right? Like recently you've been able to move through it quicker than that.
Yes. Recently, I've been able to move through it quicker than that. I think part of it is I have been very fortunate to have work also connect me to jobs as opposed to me just relying on blindly applying to different things. So that certainly has helped and actually landed me a handful of these jobs. But I'd also say I was hyper focused. Like I treated being a job seeker as my full-time job while I was unemployed. So I was there every morning and every night because I wanted to be one of the first few people to apply for a job. So I would monitor different postings, not just on LinkedIn, but also on Indeed and on other job search engines and job sites. I wanted to be all over the place, but I also wanted to connect with people at those companies because I thought that would give me a better shot sales enablement, or if there was a VP of sales or someone who I thought could notice me, that I felt was going to do a lot more than for me to just hope that someone sees my resume in a stack of 100. So there was a lot of intentionality behind it. And yeah, high volume. I mean, each of these times, that 3 times and me finding 3 new roles, those, like, I would call it like a season that I was in. So after I was laid off from Better, I was in that interview season. I had a total of 42 interviews in 30 days. And that's not 42 different companies. I think at that time it was like 28 different companies and multiple rounds and stuff like that. I didn't get burnt out. Everyone asked me, "You probably were so like burnt out from those interviews." I'm like, no. If I needed to do 75 interviews, I would do 75 interviews to get to like the job offer. So that didn't bother me at all. And I ended up getting 3 offers in that season, and I, accepted the one at the time over to ShareBite. And then the next season, I was laid off from ShareBite. I think I had 30 something interviews, just high volume because I had a high volume of applications, high volume of like connections and things like that. And that was the best thing for me. But on top of high volume, I wanted to be high quality. So I had spreadsheets where I tracked and I scored the different opportunities I was applying to because I wanted to be honest with it. And I didn't want to forget things. It's very, very easy to forget. Now who the name of the company really doesn't describe at all what the company does. So I had a spreadsheet that like said the name of the company, what industry it was in, the role, and it had the compensation, and that helped me rank like, okay, this is my top prospect here, ranked down to the bottom. And then as I got rejected from those things, I would cross them out and stuff like that. And I was able to focus on it. I didn't feel like I was just abyss. It felt like I knew exactly where I was going, where I stood within, open opportunities and stuff like that. So yeah, I was very, very strategic and very aggressive with the number of places I was interviewing and the additional things I was trying to do outside of just applying.
And you said that you had probably 28 different companies the first season that you interviewed. How many applications do you think you put out overall to get those 28 interviews?
28 companies, realistically, probably over 100. 100, 125, maybe, if I had to estimate. And I was applying to things that may not have been 100% what I was looking for, because I was really looking for either director of sales enablement or senior manager of enablement role. That's where ideally I would land. However, if it was a really cool company, like some big name company that I was attracted to, I would apply for one level lower. I would apply for a manager role, because that, could be worth more than me trying to get. So yeah, overall, it was a ton of different roles, probably 100, 120 something.
So yeah, y'all, I talked to some job seekers and they're like, I put in 10 applications this week. 10's not gonna cut it. 10's not gonna cut it. Not gonna cut it. Not here, not there, not ever. And the other thing is, if you were listening, Patryk said he didn't just use LinkedIn. There's a number of companies that do not put job applications, or job ads on LinkedIn. There's a number of companies that don't use it. If you go on LinkedIn, it will say there's no jobs here. Did you go look at their page? Did you go look at their careers page? If it's a company you really want to work for, I would challenge you to always go look at their actual careers page. There's a number of companies that don't use it. There's a number of companies that use a recruiter like me, and I post jobs in their behalf. And if you went to their page, they're never going to have a job posted there for that role because I posted it for them. So think about it, and don't just think that, oh, I shouldn't connect or network in with this company because they don't have an active role for me. I've had people on the show who are like, no, a role was created for me. Like Patryk said, my network has helped me multiple times. This is another reason why I put advertising yourself and using LinkedIn back on the screen. But LinkedIn can help you with so many things, y'all. Um, like I was told, use LinkedIn for a year, it'll change your life. I'm coming up on my year of posting in 2 weeks, and it has changed my life. It's completely different. So any last words about, I guess I swung it back around to advertising yourself, but advertising yourself or persevering through adversity?
The advertising yourself part, I'll say do it. If you are concerned of, I don't have that many connections or that many followers, no one's going to read it. Don't worry about that. You're doing this for yourself, and eventually someone is going to see it. The same way any like big artist, any big musician probably was playing for really small crowds in the beginning to work their way up to big crowds. It's the same thing. You can't be thinking about that, and maybe treat it as practice, right? You're going to learn what types of posts and what type of content maybe resonates more or gets more of a reaction. And it's not always what's visible. Just because you don't see a number of reactions or a number of comments, plenty of times my posts just get DMs from very important people who don't want their want it to be seen that they liked my content or commented on my content, but they will send me a DM about a post that I made. So don't worry about those vanity metrics. Do it for yourself. Even me now, sometimes I have a post. Yesterday's post is probably like 100 reactions. Today's is like 7. It was like 20 the other day. It doesn't matter. I don't do it just to get engagement, but I try to stay top of mind. I want to be, I want people to be aware of me in my industry and in my circle and know that I'm doing things. So you're going to comments and stuff like that.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to move into our fun Friday fact. Final reminder, if you're not following Patryk, go follow Patryk on LinkedIn right now. All right, Patryk, let's think about this. What is your fun Friday fact of the day?
Fun Friday fact. I'll give it a fact about me as opposed to just like a trivia fact.
Okay.
But a fun fact about me. So I live in the Bronx, New York, where I was raised. However, and most people do not know this until I share it with them. But yes, to Poland a ton of times, probably like a dozen or so. My mom's entire family still lives there. I went last year. I don't speak Polish anymore. When I was younger, I did, but then moved to the States when I was 2. And it was like, okay, you have to learn English now. And unfortunately, forgot. I understand a little bit of it, but yeah, I can't speak it at all. So that's my fun fact. I was born in Poland. I have citizenship. That's usually the question I expect.
Okay.
But someone just explained the actual benefits of it because I realized there were so many benefits to it. I will likely, you know what? I'm going to put it out in the world. As I said, I'm going to get my Polish passport. I'm going to get my Polish passport by the end of 2024. Put it out there. So, Lauren, you can ask me like 2, 3 months from now, how's it going with the Polish passport process? Right? Yeah.
Okay. Shout out Duolingo. Somebody tag someone from Duolingo. We need to get Patryk the Duolingo app so he can learn Polish again.
Yes.
Well, it's Friday. We're going to wrap up a little early. I've been MIA on LinkedIn this week. If you haven't noticed, I've only been posting one post a week because it's spring break for my kid. We've been doing all the fun things, and we got a couple more days left. Mama is tired. Now I understand why. This is my fun Friday fact. Now I understand why my parents never wanted to take me to do anything as a child because I am always tired. I am so exhausted. Having a 5-year-old is a lot. Bless y'all who have more than one child. I don't know how you do it. But yeah, we're gonna go do some more fun stuff in the next few days. That's my fun Friday fact. And then we'll be back with you next week. Let's see, who do we have joining us next week? Next week we have, y'all are gonna like this one. Okay, so next week we got James Perry. Do you follow James Perry on LinkedIn?
I think I do. I definitely am familiar with James's content, so I'm going to assume that I follow him. But I
If you've
lose
ever
track
seen a guy on a sailboat with a dog on LinkedIn, you know who James
now. Oh,
Perry
yes, yes.
is. He's coming on the show next week. We're going to talk about what it means to be a brand ambassador. Big shout out to Text Blaze. I'm a brand ambassador for them right now. Love their Chrome extension. Use it all the time. But we have James Perry coming on next week. We have some really fun guests coming in the next few weeks. Y'all are going to love it. And then one other thing, really quick, I need to throw out there for anyone watching the show or the replay. Y'all, I know someone who's looking for a fully remote SDR. I'm not actually hiring for this role myself, but I am helping this person. So if you are an SDR and you are in the US and you're looking for a fully remote role and you have experience, send me a video in my DMs. It must be a video of why you, and I will get you into connection with this person. All right, y'all. That's been fun. Patryk, any last words? Anything else to say?
Yes, last word. Thank you so much, Lauren. It is an honor to be on your show. This is great. This is great. I feel like you're like Ellen and I'm like the guest who's trying to promote something right now, but it's really myself. But no, I really, really appreciate you thinking of me to share some of my time with your amazing following, and also for just even having me in your following and the accountability. It was very, very helpful for me and all that stuff. So you have been very helpful for me in my LinkedIn and my career and all of those different things. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you more than you know. And realistically, it's not about the following, y'all. It's about the community you build. So build community, find your people, and you will be successful no matter what. We'll see you next week. Bye.